We're getting closer and closer to the top 10 at number 16 now, the Oklahoma Sooners. And when you think about Oklahoma football, you maybe don't think the last couple years, not quite up to the Sooner standards. We've got coaching changes, not at the top, but throughout the organization, questions at quarterback. Where do you see Oklahoma going this year, coming in with all these changes?
Well, I think, we're used to seeing Oklahoma, like you mentioned, in Texas and those kind of programs being atop of the Big 12. Well, it's a new order right now. You're looking at TCU and Baylor. Up-tempo offenses really kind of doing what they're doing right now. I think that's why Oklahoma made some changes in the coaching staff. They brought in a guy like Lincoln Riley, the former East Carolina offensive coordinator, brought him in hopes to kind of speed up the Sooners, offense, really kind of get them out there, get away from some of that, ground and pound type that they've been doing over the past couple of years. But that's not to say that they're going to totally get away from the running game. They got a guy in Samaje Perine, one of the best running backs in the country right now, rushed for over 1,700 yards, 21 touchdowns last season. I look for him to be a key focus of this offense. And then you look at the quarterback position. Trevor Knight seemed to be the guy for the last year and a half. And then all of a sudden now it looks like this offseason it could be a Texas Tech transfer, Baker Mayfield, who could be a guy who could win the spot as well. So this program is right there. They're still one of the top programs in the Big 12, but they're looking around and they're seeing the Baylors, the TCUs, and they realize they have to compete at a bigger level, at a better level. And I think we're going to try to see that this year.
I think that's one of the things you look at most programs, they'd be happy to only be 16, but in our county, but for Oklahoma to take that next step to compete with a Baylor, to compete with a TCU, what needs to work? Because you're talking about bringing in a high-speed offense with a bruising running back. How are they going to mix this up? When you look at this Oklahoma team, what do they need to do to make up that gap during the season?
Well, I think one of the things they need to do is they need to eliminate turnovers. I mean, they can't have dumb mistakes. They can't get behind in games. I think when you look at when they play some of their opponents, they're going to have to figure out ways to let that defense, which has been, last couple, years maybe not as strong as they've been. Listen, that loss in the Russell Athletic Bowl to Clemson, that 41-0 loss, was embarrassing. You know what I mean? And I think right now, I think what Oklahoma needs to do is they're really wondering, what do we have to do to get back to where we've been, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, where they were maybe they were competing for national titles, not for finishing 4th or 5th in the Big 12. So I think there's a lot at stake. I think Bob Stoops made these changes with the idea of, like, listen, things are changing in our conference. We need to be it right there as well. And I think they'll still be there. But the question is, again, they've got to beat some of the big dogs now, the Baylors and the TCUs and the Texases, and get right where they need to be.
Football season getting closer. Number 16 in our Orlando Sentinel countdown, Oklahoma Sooners.
Orlando Sentinel newspaper, check it out, yeah, do us the favor, promise that you will love it later, I promise, we got Central Florida